Yep, there it is. Welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name's Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter and Threads and everywhere else you need an at. We go live 9:30 every Wednesday evening to talk mostly about fantasy and Dynasty fantasy football. Hope you made the playoffs. If you didn't, you suck. Obviously, it's your fault, and only people that make the playoffs are allowed to, make content. I hear for code in my timeline. So jump in whatever comment box and whatever streaming platform you happen to be watching this on, and let's talk about some fantasy football. That's it. That's all I got. Hey guys, how you doing? You're both good at fantasy football, right?
Put Russ on the left. There we go.
There we go.
Well, yes, because I didn't make the playoffs in all of my leagues, but most of that was on purpose. I have 4 teams that didn't do what I wanted them to do. One of them, I did not expect for it to happen. Like, one of them, I was spike competing. Like, I tried to get my first back, and he wouldn't give it to me. So I'm like, fine, I'll make it as bad as possible. And I got the freaking 7 seed because all I needed was this team that was like 8-6 to win against a bad team. And they just, of course, they didn't actually tank it, but their team tanked it. They just had a trash week, and I didn't make the playoffs because of that. But
you ruined the pick. At least you at least stopped it being top 3.
Yeah, it's the 106, and I'm not sad about that because my team was so much worse at the beginning of the season.
It's basically worthless compared to the pick it would have been otherwise. So yeah, good move. I was just looking at one of my big tanking teams, and I have acquired 325 first, so I think that one's gone in the direction I was trying to. I was trying to spike compete in that one for a while, but no one really let me. They're like, no, we want our points and our value. Yeah, pretty much. Let's talk to Bo. Bo Pons. No question tonight. Okay, see you later. No, just a solicitation for prayers, voodoo magic, Dragon Ball, spirit bomb, hand raising, or whatever you fancy for my team. Yeah, good luck, Bo. I'm rooting for you unless you're facing.
We need it.
Lost 2 weeks in a row to lose my bye. That's okay. Oh. The playoffs are random, including whether the bye week helps or hurts you. It's meant to be a bonus, and it is. Statistically, you have a better chance if you get the bye, but it never feels like it. Though, sometimes when I get the bye, that's what causes me to lose. Like the week I go off. Yeah.
You do really well on the bye week, and then you do terrible.
That's why Peter, you always sit your starters during your bye week to give them.
Gotta rest them up. You gotta rest them up.
Yeah, gotta rest them up. That's what I missed. But good luck, mate. Amon-Ra St. Brown hurt me this week as well on the team where I'm looking to win. I literally wrote up last week how consistent he's been, and I was like, I should have known better.
So it's your fault.
I'm just a big fan of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I should have known better than to curse him this way. So I apologize. Well, I will apologize this week. I haven't finished my article. It's like 24 hours later this week. But yeah, back to normal this week. Let's hope. Hey guys, look forward to the show. Well, here it is. So
me too.
Hope it's living up. In PPR League, 4-point for passing touchdown. Can you rank these players for week 15 in the order you would put them in your lineup? Yeah, I have projections. Check them out. Russ Stroud, Carr, A-Chain, Lockett, Nico, Foreman, Hunt. Thanks. I'm looking it up. You guys, you're the guys who freeform.
If Stroud is playing, you play Stroud. You're definitely playing A-Chan.
Who's done for the season?
Who's done for the season?
Stroud, I thought.
He had a concussion. Herbert's done for the season.
That's where I'm getting mixed up. Yeah.
I don't have any Stroud, but still, don't scare me like that. That's good. Him being good is good for football. I'm definitely starting Stroud, definitely starting A-Chan. If Nico is healthy, I'm starting. If Stroud and Nico are healthy, I'll start both of them.
Yeah.
So that's 1 QB, 1 flex, 2 flexes. So now the question is, do you start Russ, Carr, Lockett, or Foreman? And I think the answer is Russ.
Yes. To me, that's you and I are kind of in lockstep, I think, with this one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to start Carr and I don't want to start Foreman. And Lockett at this point is we're seeing the transition, I think. from Lockett to JSN, but it's in the obnoxious part where it's like 50-50 split, so they both only get like 5 targets. So you can't really depend on either of them on the average game. And plus, we have to. Is Gino healthy? Like, I don't. Yeah, Russ, Stroud, assuming health. Achan, Nico, assuming health. 1, 1, 2, 4. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's where I would go without the benefit of Peter's start sit.
Currently not projecting Stroud or Nico to play, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. But I think,
well, like I'm not broken up about starting Lockett either. Like that wouldn't hurt.
He's good. I don't know who they're playing. I don't know. I have like one DK Metcalf share. That's all I really have for the Seattle offense. So I don't really know how they've been this year.
I think they got Philly on Monday night, and Philly is
their passing is so bad.
Yeah.
But like you just have to hope they can get the ball quick enough to get to neutralize the pass rush.
Given the injury predictions, it's just Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Lockett. Kareem Hunt's just a hope for a touchdown, and not that he doesn't have the red zone usage to cover that bet a lot. But I mean, if you've got a serious starting option like what you've got, I wouldn't put him up over Lockett. Lockett, DK, and what's his name? JSN. Are all actually running over 20% of the routes. I mean, it might not look like that way in target share, but he's not taking Lockett's work any more than anyone else. But he is definitely improving, which is in terms of his overall involvement in the offense. It's just interesting from a route perspective. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'll update that tonight too. Mr. Mole, evening, 12-team 1QB, PPR, start 8. Just missed out on the 101. Would you give the 102 and the 105 for the 101?
No.
I wasn't listening.
Would you give the 102 and the 105 for the 101?
No. Malik Neighbors is really, 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 really good also. And I love Kane Fassell with all of my heart. He is a beautiful, wonderful human being, but he's not the talker that Travis May is. And Travis May joined us on Dynasty Wall Street. So like I get a crash course in Devi and the college players every single week. As of right now, there's been many, many more NFL mock drafts that I would have dreamed of yet. But it seems almost consensus that Malik Neighbors is going to go top 10, top 15. And there's a couple of teams in that area that need wide receivers. So you're going to get a very highly drafted, very good prospect at wide receiver. And the 105, I mean, you're not going to be sad with the wide receiver 3, 4. You're not going to get Bowers. He'll probably be the 103. Maybe you take Caleb at 105. Maybe like there's going to be a lot of very, very good wide receivers and a lot of them drafted in the first round. So I think you're better off with those 2 picks.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a top-heavy class. If this was closer to the draft and I was more set in my valuations, it's. I don't think the value is too terrible. Like if there was someone at 101 I really wanted, this is fine. But I'm not there, and based on what I know of the class, I think there's going to at least be a top 3 even in a non-superflex draft, and so this is probably too early.
Start 8. I just paid attention now. It being start 8 makes me like it a little bit more, but I'm also with Peter, like thinking the other way around. If I had the 101, maybe when we get closer and we see landing spots and all of this stuff, maybe this feels better then. But right now, it's just like, why would I give up Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, and especially we're at the players. I think we're in the window now where picks slowly start to increase in value, but you're not going to get a worse chance to trade for the 101 later. I think this is the horse is left.
We know what the 101
is.
It's not changing.
No, I was going to say that. So I have completely watched 2 players so far. I'm behind, but I've watched 2 players. One of them is Marvin Harrison Jr.
I thought you
and Marvin Harrison Jr. in my all-time, like back to 2017, the film grades is behind 2 wide receivers.
Me and who else?
Yeah, you and CeeDee Lamb. No, CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. And then Marvin Harrison. So
Nice.
he's pretty good. I haven't finished watching Neighbors yet, but
I thought you start in January.
no, I start watching in November or
Or
December.
maybe you just
We start doing the show in February.
Oh, then maybe I'm just thinking
February or March. Yeah,
I'm just wrong then. I apologize.
All right. Yeah, I'm nowhere close. I don't know any of these names. These names are fictional. Scribbles, 12 team 1 QB, lowest 4 max points 4 teams go into a lottery for the 101. One guy has 2 out of 4 lottery picks and wants them all. Would you offer the 108 lottery 25% chance of the 101 for, let's say, the 106?
I don't understand.
Would you throw in your lottery ticket with the 108 to get bumped up to the 106? So it's you're definitely moving up 2 spots instead of getting a chance to get the 101.
This feels like a Monty Hall problem.
I'll take door number 3.
You could game theory it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Why do you have a ticket to the lottery if you have the 108? I'm assuming it's.
I don't necessarily like. I really don't understand what this is trying to say.
The lottery,
because it's saying the lowest 4 teams go into the lottery. So are they saying one of those teams ends? But why would you trade 2 picks to move up to 2 spots? That one that's early. I legitimately don't understand what this is saying.
I think he has a 108 from an earlier trade, and his pick could be the 101. So yeah, technically it's 2 picks. But if I'm understanding this right, his pick, the lowest his pick could be is a 104. So it's a 108 and the 104.
You're trading the 104 and the 108 for the 106?
That's not the way he phrased it, but it's the only way that makes sense to me. Yeah.
In that case, I say hold, unless you're here and watching and listening, and you can explain this a little better.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just legit.
How much QB values change in a 16-team league? Okay.
So you're giving him a 75% chance to get the 101 by trading it. So to me, that's worth more than. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he's already got a 50-50 shot. And if you trade him another one, now he's got a 75% chance of the 101.
Yeah.
I'm probably holding him over a barrel for that.
I think in either direction, whether your 108 turns to the 101 or whether you get, whether it's 2 first-round picks, essentially, I don't think you're getting enough back. Like that 2-pick jump isn't enough. For me, if that's a whole ass second pick that could be the 104, it's not enough. And even if it's just a lottery ticket without a chance at the 104, I think you should pay through the nose to get a 75% shot of the 101.
Yeah.
How much do QB values change in 16-team league? It's a difficult question to answer. It depends how you're scaling it. But the way I think about it, the bigger the league, it's you can also adjust it to starters. So the bigger the league in this case, the less studly you have to be. But QB values don't get any. Sorry, I got a message. Don't get any less. That's the way I was going to say my sentences. Essentially, very few teams can have 2 startable QBs every week. If anyone's got 3, the rest of the league's screwed. And while we do see changeover, this year is insane for the changeover at QB because of injuries. But we still do see some of this every year. But still, it increases it rather dramatically. QB value in general, especially in Superflex, is still borderline undervalued, even for the top group. And I think it's going to get worse. This offseason, QB value is going to drop because of what's happened this year. And so I think it's going to be a real chance to pounce on it, to be honest with you. But 16-team league, I don't know how to answer it in terms of fractional scoring, but a lot. They basically should be the first, all but 2 of the top 12 picks, if not top 16 picks.
Yeah, again, they didn't specify super flex. If it's 1 quarterback, I still think I don't care nearly as much.
Right.
It essentially turns it into a super flex in a way. That's what I was trying to say.
But like, in a 1 QB, like a 12-team 1 QB, I care very little about my backup. I would care a little more in a 16-team 1 QB. Still not enough to do much about it, but it would have to be someone I knew was a starter. Like I wouldn't be fine having like Desmond Ridder as my backup when he can be benched or at any given time. But in a 16-team super flex, or I've seen people crazy enough that do like 16-team 2 quarterback, which is almost impossible because bye weeks and injuries happen. When you get to that, it makes it a lot more because people are going to be without the required amount. Like Superflex, at least you only need 1 quarterback and then a quarterback to cover your buys. You don't need 3. You don't need it, which is good because not everyone's going to get 3 in a 16-team Superflex. But like when you start hitting that 2 QB where you're getting a 0 if you don't have 3, then it's like through the freaking roof.
We're starting to think about AJ McCarron again, which that's my line in fantasy football. I don't want to play in a league where I have to think about AJ McCarron.
I was thinking mostly from Superflex, but in a Superflex for 16, but for 2 picks should be all quarterbacks, and if it's a 1 QB, it should at least go to 8, maybe 10 picks quarterback. I think it bumps it up for me a little bit more, but then what Russ was saying, but not quite as bad.
Yeah, but like if in a 12-team 1 QB, you're probably waiting to round 3 or 4 before the Mahomes, Allen, Hurts go. Like I'd probably bump it up to the second. Like, it makes them a little more valuable, but not like game-changingly more valuable.
12-team Superflex this time. Dak or Kyler and Josh Downs? Kyler and Josh Downs, please.
Yeah, Kyler and Josh Downs, just because there's extra there.
If I'm winning right now, I'd probably rather roll out Dak over the next 3 weeks.
Dak is scoring more points, but I do think the dynasty value is going to catch up, and Kyler's going to start working.
Yeah, he should be similar value, but I'm like anything to win, and I'll take the loss of Josh Downs to start Dak over the next 3 weeks. But it's a heavy price.
I'm
too
calling
heavy
Josh. I'm
if you're not
winning. That you hate him and you're just trading him away.
That's literally what I said. Hey, fellas, how many more years do you see Tyreek playing at this insane level? This level? The level
he doesn't want to anymore. He said at the end of the 25 season he's retiring. So then,
calculation-wise, you should expect at least 2 prime years left. I think I've got a little table that Adam Harstead popped out once. But yeah, I expect 2 more years of prime years, but it doesn't mean only 2 more years of utility. But the point, I think, especially on the Tyreek Hill value window, is the minute you start asking it, it's too late, Bob. I mean, unless you can get the 3 picks for Tyreek Hill, which I don't think you can if you're asking the question, you're holding them for points unless you're building, and then you sell for what you can. Unfortunately, the league market.
I think you could still get it probably early and late first for Hill right now. Like you could probably pull 2 firsts right now.
You should.
2 firsts. You should, yeah. But that's what I mean. If it's not 3, then it's already declined.
Yeah.
A little bit. Do Bears draft Caleb? No idea, man. I stay away from draft prediction as well. I don't have to guess and get the wrong idea in my head and then be disappointed when something does or doesn't happen. I do think the Bears might be will be thinking about changing the QB position. Yeah. It's tough. As a fan of Justin Fields.
I think there's a very strong chance they continue to roll with Fields because just imagine there are a lot of QB needy teams up top, and that creates a market. And man, do the Bears have the ability to build a team right now. The ransom they can get for the 101, even if it's a team just moving up 3 or 4 spots, they'll be able to pull in offensive, defensive linemen and grab neighbors with their second pick, or they have the ability to just completely fortify.
I think they have the potential. I don't know if they have the ability. And this draft's going to have quite. From what I remember, what Travis has told me this offseason, this draft may well have 3 or 4 interesting QB prospects for the first round. I mean, that.
There's more than likely Caleb Williams and Drake May are going to go 1 and 2, and then somewhere in there, like Jalen Daniels is going to win the Heisman, and that's going to boost him up. And then there's a couple of entertaining guys like Penix is his last name, Penix Jr. He's in Washington.
Michael. Yes.
Michael, yeah. He's one of those guys that's going to probably be like an early second-ish, but like also has the ability, like he's a really good athlete. So there's a chance that when he starts wearing shorts and doing exercises that his stock will go crazy. So they were like, especially like, that's why first round picks this year are that valuable, because there's a chance there's going to be 4 quarterbacks drafted in the first round of rookie drafts. So like, but like all of that completely aside, I really think the Bears stick with Justin Fields. I hope more than likely if the front office gets fired. Like I hope Eberfluss is gone, or however you say his name. Like that's the real right answer. Like Fields has shown that he can lead this team. Fields has shown that he can play well. It's the coaching staff that keeps letting him down.
Yeah. I don't know. He showed quite enough, and they really did set it up for a year to make or break. And what's more, I think a coaching staff's more likely to blame a QB than say we need to change us. But I mean, you're asking me what if someone else is going to make excuses for. I hope so. I want to see Justin Fields get another shot, but maybe not on that team. To be fair, there's other paths to success. I don't know. Right now, I'd put the odds slightly in favor of them having a different starting QBs, at least with significant value sometime next year. But I'm not certain of it for sure. Nice shirt.
Hold on. So the Bears trade back, and then they trade Justin Fields away, sign Kirk Cousins as a free agent. He stays in division. Moves they over there.
See it as a building, or try and retire an old journeyman. NFL teams, the only people more lustful for the stud at quarterback than John Hogue are NFL teams, and they get increasingly willing to experiment with finding their Joe Burrow, finding their Herbert, finding their it's a copycat league, right? And those are
finding their Deshaun Watson.
Well, the Browns did try though, and that was fairly unusual.
Very, very poorly.
Yeah. But after this year, maybe NFL teams are like, man, we don't need studs. Look at them all. They're not doing so well this year. Patrick Mahomes is a system QB, someone said. Thank you very much, John. I like it. I also enjoyed the Polython this year, by the way. Thanks very much. Tim Shady, PPR, which rookie do you want for next year? Zay Flowers or Rashee Rice? That's an interesting question. Rashee Rice is already a top 60 pick in DLF. I'm on Flowers.
I like the player of Flowers better, but Rice might be the answer, because Rice is doing pretty well, but I really just stick because Andrews isn't there, and Andrews will be back. Rashee Rice is doing well, weirdly, in Mahomes' worst statistical season of his career. So I think Rice might actually finally be that Kansas City wide receiver we want.
Flowers has had the volume with and without enough to fairly convince me. I hate to go in. I'm not trying to trade for Flowers because I got Marcus Brown. I'm not playing the guessing game with Baltimore receivers anymore. Just go for Mark Andrews. True. But in terms of my ranks, I have Flowers pretty strong, firmly ahead of Rice, just based on rookie benchmarks and stuff like that. But Rice is definitely, don't get me wrong, Rice's value is probably a lot more tempting, for sure. If they're equal value, though, then it's not.
I mean, Flowers are still got to be in ADP ahead of Rice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
So, like, I'd take Rice plus over Flowers. I don't think that there's as much between them as ADP might suggest.
All right. I don't think I didn't check.
Wait, I can tell you.
But I know Rice is really high right now. Compared to what I thought? I thought he'd be in the 7th round, and he's in like the 5th.
Rashee Rice is wide receiver 26, 50th overall. Zay Flowers is wide receiver 20, 31 overall. So there's a big gap in between the two of them.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
this is
because
December
everybody
18th, by the way.
everybody
This is posted
loved
right now.
Flowers. Everybody loved Flowers coming out. Like Flowers was the short. Like no, but like
I had to be
Flowers.
convinced, to be fair.
Flowers was one of the. So you had the top two, and then you had Quentin Johnson and Flowers that everybody was on, and then it was kind of pick your poison after that.
Yeah, it was Rice because of the landing spot. It had less to do with the player and more to do with the fact that he landed in Kansas City.
Flowers was one of that solid group, but I actually think it was one of the, I have to do my self-evaluation. I was throwing slight concerns at Flowers. I wasn't fully convinced of his profile. I actually consider him a miss on my account. But again, the points haven't been there, Baltimore and such, and so his value, I'm surprised it's that high, actually. I thought it'd be a little closer.
Definitely a miss on my account because I drafted every time I was in that spot, I drafted Quentin Johnston over him.
Fair enough. Yeah. They were in a tier together,
misses, I guess.
right? 2 misses in a row, Dan. As long as you get the top right, the rest is forgivable. And you like Josh Dance, you're fine. Tank Dell, obviously.
Oh man, we talked about Jalen Waddle on Dynasty Wall Street today, and Dynasty Wall Street. What we do is we talk about player versus their pick value, and then we rank them amongst other players. And Devonta Smith was part of the order, and I actually ranked Devonta Smith above Jalen Waddle right now. And I said, I didn't realize I was going to do this, but more than anything, this is vindication for the fact that I drafted Devonta over Jalen Waddle every single time. It took me 3 seasons, but I'm here. I was right. Yes.
Don't ask how, just if.
Yep. Don't leave that timeline part of it out of it. I was right.
I have to check, but I think Waddle Waddle's going to be a big value for me this offseason as a guy I want to go send trade offers on. T. Higgins, like we were talking about last week, same thing.
I wish I wasn't an idiot like with this, that people
would
not overcharge me for T. Higgins, but it's out there. Everyone knows. I try and send decent offers for Higgins, and they get quickly rejected and sent back something ridiculous.
I actually think Saquon Barkley might end up in that camp, interesting enough. He's 26.
He's a running back that's going to be 27, 28, so he'll be cheap anyway.
Yeah, but it's been a buy running back market lately in the offseason. It's interesting. But Nicholas wants to know, 12-team, half-point PPR start 10. I am the 1 seed with Mahomes, CMC, ETN. You're just showing off now. Eckler, Najee, Hill, Cup, Thielen, Addison, Ingram, early and late 24 first. Who should I buy to win the shit? I mean, you've got him, surely. Kelsey? Kelsey. It's got to be Kelsey, right?
Dude, Ingram is the tight end 3 right now. But, that's honestly, I think you need a little help at wide receiver with Thielen not really doing much right now. Start 10. So you're starting Mahomes, McCaffrey. I'm not thrilled with ETN. If he's not scoring 2 touchdowns, he's not that great. Eckler is kind of You don't really want to start Najee. Hill is fantastic. Cup is fantastic. Thielen is Addison is going to go back to being him without. Well, Justin Jefferson might be playing, right? It seems like more of just a stinger and whatever. Who's Myers? Is that a kicker?
Michael.
Jacoby?
Oh, Jacoby Myers. All right. And
it could be Michael, too. It's right in that weird.
Mayor. Yeah. You honestly, here's the thing. Regardless, I keep that early first. Hold on to it. Because whether you win or you lose, your team's going to get a lot better anyway. That early first is going to help you a lot going forward. And don't forget, this is Dynasty. But that late first, I would send so easily if someone has. Man, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I can't really think of anyone specifically to go out and send for right now. But I would be very willing to send that late first for an insanely solidly producing wide receiver right now.
Keep Najee, whatever trades you're doing. I don't know. I say his damn name weird. Not his damn name. I am damn for saying his name weird. I was just writing it up, and so I'm really not as up to date as I usually am by the time we do this because I've been behind this week. Pittsburgh's schedule to finish the season, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty positive. Especially for running back position this week. The problem you've got is you wouldn't start most of those players, Najee or Jalen Warren, over most of those players. So, the problem is if there is a problem, that your players are so high value and good outside of Thielen that you'd be trading down to get a better
Oh no!
starter.
All
And you're
you
not
got
going
to
to get
know,
picks
I
for
don't think you're
someone
trading
else.
any of these
So
players away.
that's the thing, and you don't want to trade your pick. So, like,
Well,
that's why
I'll trade the
Kelsey
late
stood out.
first.
Just
Just to
someone I'll pay up for to get him as my starter. Like Ingram for Kelsey, if they like the age. Like Ingram's fully just as startable right now, but like I feel more confident, obviously, starting Kelsey, and I bleed the age just to get that because everyone else, like, it's hard to sit or trade any of them because they're so good.
just to validate your Steelers schedule is Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, and according to MFL, it's 29, 16, 28 as points allowed to the position. So it's a really good schedule. But I opened up the trade analyzer and like just looked in the values. Rashee Rice is worth late first at this point, so that seems like a good move to go make.
That'd be a great move.
Kyren Williams.
Yeah. I mean, either of those, but like you're getting younger and getting production, which is a win. It's like you hit on that late first.
Yeah, like if you can, like honestly, like it depends on how many. Like if you have to start X amount of running backs, I would hold on to the 3 you have. Or yes, 4. Never mind. I would like see if I can add ETN in a late first to see if I can go get. I mean, like St. Brown, I guess is like asking a little too much. Like Jahmyr Gibbs, I think will score better than ETN. Chris Olave, I think that's something you could do if you wanted to move a player and a pick as well. But I would absolutely be throwing that late first around to see what you can get for it.
This might be. It might be too mega braining it. Like I say, I think the problem you've got is you're probably going to be going in the wrong direction one way or the other, trying to get picks from a team that's losing, or trading down in value of your players, which I always hate doing. But one idea that occurs, that might be the exception. Seahawks wide receiver schedule at a glance looks pretty positive.
Yes.
JSN. If you want to go in on that building
I
there,
want
you
zero
could go
risk
DK, but I think JSN might be more like he hasn't fully proven it yet, and you could therefore get a young player who dominates over the last 3 weeks, which would be freaking awesome for a lot of reasons. But again, you're taking a somewhat of a risk. But again, it's JSN. It's a young early drafted player who's doing pretty well.
Good going forward. That's a good point.
So JSN might be a move I would try to make, but it depends what that team looks like,
Well, and that one to me is going to be a hard one to get done for if we're talking the late first, because you've got that sunk cost fallacy where like I've already spent a high first to get JSN, and after a season I don't want to trade him for a late first.
But you could. That's the thing. It depends what the teams look like.
Yeah.
They might be. Are they interested in Myers at all? I'd throw that at him with a late first. Probably not. Would you throw ETN? That's too much almost. That's the thing.
I mean,
any imbalance, any imbalance you get, they're not going to want to give you draft picks to balance it out. So you're going to have to hope that roster has something else to balance it out for you. But that's the team I would go and look at first. See what JSN's teams look like, what situation they're in, what you might be able to work out. Outside of that,
White is an interesting one to me. Like late first, he's scoring pretty well. Like,
or just trade for 49ers players, I guess. Debo's always a constant value. Yeah. And their schedule is pretty decent. Yeah. Oh hell yes, let's go Kittle. But if you're gonna go Kittle, just go Kelsey to win, But yeah. J Mike, I do have the time to listen to you grind. Love you.
Love you, J Mike.
Bad man.
Do you have to? Anyway, Flow Source, thanks. Have to wait and see on Nico and Stroud, and also Carr has to include the lower options I had. Yeah. Cool. Let's just hope we get good injury news for you this week, man. That's part of the high variance nature of the playoffs.
Yeah, Flowsaurus, welcome to week 15, where everybody is questionable unless they're out.
We sure hope you didn't take your eye off value while you were busy trying to win, I guess. Is the lesson here. Some noob, if you have a week 15 buy, are you trading for players ASAP or waiting to see if they are week 15 injuries before? That's an interesting question. Kind of metagaming. You can wait if you don't have a trade deadline.
There is zero reason to do anything right now if you have a buy, short of immense value. Like anybody can get hurt any given game. So there's no, again, unless it's something that you don't think will be there next week. Like if you have a super active league, maybe you need to do it now so another team doesn't do it. But that's really it. It's a game theory thing. It's not a player thing. There's no reason to trade for players now because you're right. They're absolutely,
like,
especially this season, like we're at a 3 to 4 player injury minimum per week. And fantasy player, so like you might as well wait.
Yep. It's like the pick thing. We're in the window now. It's too late to try and grab a value. Like at this point, they're rising. 1 QB. It doesn't change it, but thanks. Jazz Fresh. Hello. With all the wide receivers in the 2024 draft, I feel the class will saturate the wide receiver market, much like the QB market has been. Maybe I don't know. Devaluing a lot of wide receiver twos, like wait, careful with who you call a wide receiver.
She was pulling this a lot. She was spitting some heresy about T. Higgins when it was just me the other week.
Any thoughts on market correction or overcorrection? Yeah, it's a good question. The main one I see right now is I think QB value is going to fall a little bit. This year, wide receivers have been, especially the top scoring wide receivers, have been pretty decent. Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the guys we expect, apart from Justin Jefferson, are kind of doing it. So I don't think so. But you're right. The Waddles and the T. Higgins, they've lost a luster because of just the way the season's gone, even though they should be valued there. But then again, Devontae Smith is the guy that fella over there is inserting above them. So I'm not sure the wide receiver 2 angle is the one. But yeah, I don't feel like there's a lot of overcorrection in the wide receiver market. I think it's running back and quarterback that people are going to be disappointed in this offseason. Tight end's going to rise significantly. Wide receivers are going to stay stable.
But the weird thing is, Peter, to me, the community played it backwards this year, where they were saying there's so much depth at wide receiver,
right?
So we're going to play 0 RB, and so like that was the thing at the beginning of the year. I'm like, we're pitching this backwards. Like when there's depth at running back, you play 0 running back. When there's but I also think that so. If they're good wide receivers, that's good for the wide receiver position as a whole. You know, there aren't going to be very many players come out that are going to outproduce Jalen Waddle. I don't think that there are, and again, I haven't fully watched this class, but I have been impressed with Marvin Harrison Jr. I've been impressed with the games that I've watched so far of Malik Neighbors. I was disappointed with Emeka Ibuka. And so like, I know. And so I think that, yes, this is a great class, but we're going to be at the point where players that are already here and proven are going to be values. Some of them will be wide receivers because we're going to do the next big thing and want to make all of these players better than they are every year. I mean, it's just kind of what we do. And then the other piece of this, Jazz, is looking at a different position. The running backs, because this class is so poor, there's such a dearth of running backs in the 24 class. The established running backs right now, go get them now while they're still kind of depressed, because they're going to be back again next year because there's nobody waiting in the wings to replace them, or at least not uber talented. It's not somebody that's going to come in and just like, you know, be drafted to take over a backfield.
And this isn't the full story because what I'm about to say, because it does matter who is scoring those points, to your point, Jazz. But positional scoring across the board is actually down this year. QB, running back, and tight end. The only group that's actually scoring more than they did last year, top 24 wide receivers and top 12 wide receivers. Like wide receivers are the non-disappoint. It does matter who was scoring those points. Like T. Higgins and Waddle feel like disappointments. But we also got a few bounce backs. It was meant to be a return year, and we did get Debo coming back pretty strong and a few other, Adam Thielen for that matter, returning to a top 24 level. So I don't expect a lot of devaluation, to be honest. But there will be incidences, those few that we've mentioned, that we should keep our eye out for. But again, that's broad strokes talking about 3 months' time, to be fair. Follow your league trends. Bob Gilchrist, Hawkinson, Barkley on Tank Dell, Jonathan Taylor.
Or Tank Dell. We just stab.
In a second. Yeah. Although, what a sandwich, right? That'd be pretty good. Hawkinson and Barkley or Tank Dell and Jonathan Taylor. So Barkley over Taylor, Dell over Hawkinson. It's even more even than I like to say, but yeah, Dell. And the second is like just it's not enough for me.
It's Hawkenbark to me pretty easily.
It is.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's Tank Dell's fun, and I love the idea.
I want the Tank Dell side, but this isn't it. Yeah.
And the second is like supposed to even out the value, but it just makes it more meh.
Yeah.
Like, what is Jonathan Taylor right now?
One of those established running backs whose value is a little too low, to be fair. But so is Barkley.
True. So. But yeah. I mean, but they both are.
Yeah. This isn't taking advantage of that.
Same page. Don't like I'm not disagreeing where you're right because that would make me wrong, and I don't like that.
Bob just wanted to make Peter feel uncomfortable about not taking a Tank Dell side, which I appreciate.
Fortunately, because I rank him so on my rookie draft, I don't have to worry about this. That's all for you all Tutu Atwell haters. So those are the guys who got to worry about Tank's value. Kevin. I hope that's the engineer, but it might just be another awesome Kevin. Dynasty, Superflex Bryce Young and a projected 24-105 or Justin Fields. I think Young's a little bit of a safer value. So that's interesting. I don't think he's a whole ass first more than Justin Fields, though.
I do.
If I'm not competing, I don't mind taking this. Again, for the very... What?
In a Superflex, a 105 is going to be a real interesting value pick.
So for the very reason that we talked about at the beginning of this, when we were talking about the one quarterback league and the 102 and the 105 for the 101, you're 5 in a Superflex, and there may be Daniels may end up being in this mix too, but you've got Caleb Williams, you've got Drake May, you've got Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got Neighbors, you've got Brock Bowers.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have the Heisman winning quarterback.
And then you have the Heisman winning quarterback. So, like, I don't mind taking Bryce Young. Like, again, Bryce Young has been abysmal this year. And I
read it wrong. That's sorry, Karen.
Why would
I thought the first was with the Fields, and that's why I said I don't think he's that much more valuable.
Oh no, Fields is
I want the 105 side, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I still believe in Fields, and I believe Fields is starting somewhere. And I stick with my statement that I've been saying every single week. Either a team trades for Fields, in which case they're committing to him, or the Bears don't draft Caleb Williams or another quarterback, in which case they're committing to Fields. So, like, I again, there's absolute risk in that. There's a lot less risk in Bryce Young right now. Even if he has another bad year, his value will be more insulated, especially because of the not great quarterbacks coming out in the next 2 years. So Zach is right. If you're rebuilding, I do not hate passing down for another extra year of safety at a quarterback and getting a very good draft pick in a Superflex league.
I don't care if I'm building. I've read this the right way around. This is very, very easily the Young and the 105 side for me. Just to say that.
I mean, but if I'm competitive, like if I've made the playoffs and I'm like
maybe
like the 2 seed and I get Fields, like I don't want to give up Fields for Bryce Young, even though in my mind I hear not Jacob.
Jay?
Anyway, Adam Harstead saying you always go for the value, always do like it's so hard for me to just be like, nah, I'm gonna completely torch my chances this year by trading for Bryce Young because I get the 105 with it. Like if I'm competitive, I still want Fields.
Like I do this trade and then try and see if I can trade Bryce Young for like Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep the 105, move Young for a less safe quarterback that's scoring more points.
Yeah, that's actually nice.
Again, that's a very league specific ability,
Yeah.
Maybe talk to the other managers before you make this trade to see if you can pull that off.
It's a playoffs. We're putting them to the wall. Let's just break the trade and then go see if those guys are still even paying attention to their emails. That's no, don't do that. Scribbles, second crack at it. I made it super confusing. Would you rather have the 108 and a 25% chance of it turning into the 101?
Yes.
Or the 106?
The first one.
In a 1 QB.
In a 1 QB. I don't the difference between the 106 and the 108 is not very much to me.
It's kind of a
and
tier.
So like I'd rather have the shot at the 101.
So I'm still confused. Like, why is the later pick have a shot at being the 101 but not the 106?
He probably made a trade, and that's just the way the league works, I'm guessing. He traded whatever his pick is for the what turned out to be the 108, but because he's bottom 4, he gets in the lottery.
Not understanding it, but still sticking with what you guys said. The 106 and the 108 and one quarterback is still talking like wide receiver 5 or 6 or running back 2 in a bad class. So you might as well just try for the 101. Take that
time last year, we were like, maybe that would be Will Levis. And it turned out not to be Will Levis, but still, just to scare you a little bit into not doing it. Like, that's kind of where we were wondering. Like, that back end of the tier quarterback. Nah. I will only play in leagues where I don't have to think about Treylon Burks. I'm thinking about banning you just for making me think about him right there, to be honest. Cypher, seeing McBride being valued higher than Andrews and hold your tongue, really? A Dynasty PPR format. Thoughts? I think Bride definitely deserves to jump up into the conversation, but Andrews all day for me.
I just traded McBride to get Andrews.
Awesome.
That is literally just playoff panic while holding on to someone who's scoring you 0 points.
That was a fun that league has been very fun for me while watching people panic in the playoff. I got Mahomes and I got Andrews and I got like 4 first round picks.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and win it.
And I almost made the playoffs. Like I was like a few points shy of making the 6th spot. So
always take the age discount, especially at tight end. Like, who cares? Thoughts on Tua? I like him.
He's left-handed.
He's pretty good. He can throw to both sides of the field, it turns out. I think he belongs in that Dak tier,
Yep.
It was a lot hotter early in the season, but you almost just can't keep that up. But he's definitely in that. You got Mahomes, you got Allen, you got Hurts, and then you got a straight, 5 QBs with Tua in there. That should all pretty much be valued in there. And take Jibble. Okay. Thoughts on Deebo Samuel in Dynasty? I love buying Deebo Samuel in Dynasty. There's been no point where anyone's ever been willing to admit that he's pretty good. And I started off that way. I didn't like his rookie profile, but I adjust quickly when I'm proven wrong, or I try to. And since then, it's been pretty fun. I've been buying him on rebuilds this off season, and now he's scoring points, which has been rotten actually in a few ways. But yeah, he's always one I forget actually when I'm thinking about players I might go send offers on at this time in the off season. I think he's the best fantasy wide receiver on the 49ers, and that's a pretty good thing to be for fantasy football. I'm not saying who's better or worse at wide receivering, but
it's hurting my soul that the Purdy Ayuk connection that has been there for so long is not working out. Like Ayuk's been fine. He's like the wide receiver 16-ish in points per game, but like Debo's been putting up 30 something the past 3 games. Like, yeah, healthy Debo seems to like it seemed like that wasn't part of Purdy's plan until it was. And once it is, it's for reals.
That's what I don't think if I convince everyone in the world of the truth that splits suck, I still think people will be using splits with the 49ers. Like the 49ers are where people like if you just look in weeks where these two things were true, like that's just a split. It's not real. That you found
I will
something
use any
to
bad
apply.
argument as long as it helps my argument.
But that's the thing. Ayuk's been great, and if you just say what he is, like he's anyway. But anyway, moving on. 49ers splits are still a thing that are not true. Thoughts on DJ Moore? I actually have to look some of that up again. I'm behind. DJ Moore and who is MHJ?
Marvin
Harrison Jr.
Okay.
I love it. No, 2 wide receivers on the same team can be very, very good together, especially when they are DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr., who might as well be playing different positions.
Yeah.
Like this is the equivalent of like last year Hill and Waddle. Like you can have both of them on your team and feel fine. Like I would love this to happen.
It's DJ Moore is currently the wide receiver 9, and I think I remember pointing out that based on his career year, he was in kind of that later top 12 breakout window. Because you always like to mock me for liking DJ Moore a little bit more because the nerds were always a little bit more on him, and that's what made it stick in my memory. But what I was also going to say is he's been in the top 12 each of the last 3 weeks, and he's entering into a schedule. I was doing a lot of schedule stuff. I don't like it, but it's the playoffs, so I'm trying because people are interested. I think his schedule gets a lot worse, especially this week. That's not to your question, but it's something I wanted to mention. He could well fall out of the top 12 before the end of the season based on the next 3 weeks if it's as rough as some of those numbers were showing. But he's done great in a rough situation. And 2 wide receivers with a good QB are better than 1 wide receiver with a good QB. I'm not sure what other thought I could have. Like more good players makes team more good. That tends to be my default. Zach, now say intelligent things. I've finished.
Well, no, Russ said that they play entirely different positions within the position of wide receiver, and they absolutely do. Like watching Marvin Harrison Jr. to me is imagine if T. Higgins were as good as Russ thinks he is. Like T. Higgins is amazing, but if T. Higgins is as good as Russ thinks he is.
I think I have to go now. I don't think the day can get any better than what just happened.
So it's
burn.
It's really no, but it's really fun. So Marvin Harrison Jr. just absolutely kills zones, which is not something you think of from a big X type wide receiver. But then he can go and do the things on the sideline and the back shoulder throws and bully players. And so it's like watching like a little more physical DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh wow!
And again, this is not
not to comp.
I hate to comp things, but it's so fun because he's like it doesn't matter. He's open because he can manipulate the defender and he can manipulate himself to make the play, even if he's covered. And then if you're playing his own, he's so smart that he's open, wide open.
Sounds like a no bad landing spot type.
He's
argument.
Good. Like I said, he is the 3rd highest grade that I've given out on film, and he is so far from the type of receiver that I normally gravitate to that saying that he's a top 3 is ridiculous. He's not like a great route runner. Which is the kind I love to watch a player and I'm like, that's how he gets open.
Right.
This quick, but I'm watching him and I'm like, that's how he gets open. But he's just so smart and so physical and does everything well. And it's just man, this is a good player. But not a slot guy. He's not a slide him in and
Oh no,
It's like it's kind of the Jamar Chase thing where like he can go do everything you want an ex receiver to do, but he's
And you
just a
said Chase
different.
was under those guys, right? For your evaluation.
Yeah, but not much. I mean, like Chase was like the
Right.
he was literally like the next guy, but or
oh no,
he and
Marvin
Rondell Moore.
Jr.,
Let's not
pure X baby, pure
Yeah.
X.
Cody says the Bears should trade back. That's a lot. I mean, I
should.
think the Bears should really dynasty. I think the
Ooh.
NFL should really dynasty mine their NFL draft, like they tried to do in the Browns before. They were like, "This doesn't immediately create an excitement for my team, so we'll fire that guy and try something else." And I really think they should. If you could John Bosch the NFL, there'd be a team that they might roll up the league. They'll be like, that team's got every pick for the next 3 years. I think we're done. I think we.
I would never like if I was an NFL GM, I would never make a first round pick until I was ready to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, until you had him, maybe
you'd be the Rams. But,
yeah. Well, I wouldn't be I don't want to trade all my picks because that's what the Rams should just like trade for players. I want like second and third because the price you're paying for them is so much lower. And if you can get multiple shots at the can at a lower price, you're doing better off, and it's not worth that 5th year option. Like that, whatever, that doesn't matter until I'm ready to draft a quarterback, and then let's go. I would draft, I would draft maybe if you got tackles and like you pay the fat guys. So you offensive line, defensive line, go get those guys. Once you get that in place, go get your quarterback, and then fill in, like go sign wide receivers, go do what they did with Diggs or whatever, or make a trade and get a wide receiver, that sort of thing. But I mean, I'd rather trade a first round pick and get Diggs than I would draft a first round wide receiver and hope.
Scribble said he sold Kincaid for McBride and the 201.
That's beautiful.
I like it.
What advice could you give Tony Pollard manager? Start him. He's fine.
Start him.
Top 12 running backs stuck. People forget. Joe Mixon's been doing it for a while, but we all think that top 12 equals Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey, and those guys are a little more rare. Tony Pollard's been doing fine. He's actually kicked me to death. Like I didn't think he'd do quite this well, but his touchdowns have come back. He's going to be pretty good to roll out here in the playoffs.
I remember having this argument with you, Peter.
I was
preseason because
it looked good for a while, but it's because he wasn't scoring touchdowns. Yeah,
well, and there's no way he was going to be as efficient as he was with Zeke getting all of the real hard yards between the tackles. It's just not. But he's also getting so much volume that
it's one of the things where I think value wise, I did okay.
Yeah.
But winning this season wise, it was there. It's like the ETN thing. I should have saw at least his early season potential, and didn't. Just I was like, no, I don't like that running back. Don't want that running back. I want CMC. Tank Dell and Saquon, or Olave and Mostert. Rebuild 12 team, start 11.
Can you just do this and just not include running backs?
Tank Dell for Olave.
Just figure out a better trade. I don't want. Okay, I love Tank Dell. I would rank Olave above Tank Dell. So I would do the trade to get Olave, trade away Mostert, get a second out of it, and call it a day.
But Saquon's too much. Dell and Saquon, I'm on that side.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's close.
I don't like the idea of this at all in general.
So, Olave should be ranked higher than Dell. Even I can say that, but not a Saquon distance.
Yeah, not Saquon to Mostert. I guess you're right. Like the overall value is probably on the Dell and Saquon side.
But Rico, congratulations on finding a trade that makes Russ uncomfortable, because that's hard to do.
That's difficult. Go, Rico, go. Bob Gilchrist, 3 first minimum for T. You're not getting
gets me.
No.
Well, no, he's saying that's the price people ask me to pay.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Josiah Brown, Richardson for Ayuk and DJ Moore.
1 QB, yes. Superflex, Richardson.
I was going to say the super flex element matters here. I mean, unless I can afford to burn a QB, in which case I think this is okay, but no,
Like,
probably.
If you made the playoffs and Richardson is on your IR, these 2 wide receivers will help you win. But like, I feel like you're sacrificing a decent amount of dynasty value for that.
At least this offseason, there's going to be hey, remember what he did in the games he started, and
you'll get more for Richardson later if you are if you're a non-competitive team right now. Hang on.
Yeah, and if you're non-competitive, I think you could at least trade into one elite asset. Like if you could get like a top-tier wide receiver for Richardson, I might consider it to get out of the risk, because I consider QBs a risk a little bit until they CJ Stroud, until they Mahomes, and then they're not that. Which is why I'm still kind of out on Justin Fields, even more out, in fact. But so yeah, I mean, Amon-Ra. So that's the lowest tier I go to for a straight up Richardson trade. And that was only if I was in a situation where I didn't have to play pure value.
Yep.
So I'm not winning the playoffs. I'm not winning, but I'm definitely not completely rebuilding.
So Josiah, just for a little context, in October ADP Superflex for DLF, Richardson was the QB 10.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. So again, but that's putting him right around pick 13, 14. So you're in that Amon-Ra St. Brown range. So like that's getting Ayuk and DJ Moore.
Again, like Russ said, if you're starting this week, if you're a top 3 team and those 2 players are going to start for you and win, to what Zach said earlier as well, like pay to win. That's fine by me. But I think that's real specific. And even in that situation, I'd rather just throw it all in on one big guy to start this week than 2 smaller guys. But that's about Dynasty.
Team building, in a December Superflex mock. Richardson is the QB 9, taken 11th overall.
Yeah. So you're
the only wide receiver taken before him was Tyreek Hill went at 7. That's wrong.
But again, if you're trying to win with this trade, I'd rather get Tyreek than Ayuk and DJ.
Oh no, I was just yes. I was just talking about the mock draft.
Someone took. I think that's a good point, though. If you don't want to go for that value, because then you can go for a full-on win guy like a Tyreek Hill. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it as well. So Josiah, really depends on your situation which way you want to go there, but that's kind of how we feel about it. Hopefully it's somewhat helpful. I think we covered all the bases there where Josiah could be. I'm pretty proud of us. Matt B, I recently added Flacco and Zach Wilson. Did I strike gold?
League winners, baby.
The window.
League winners. But I hear my kids awake when they shouldn't be, so I gotta go.
All right. Okay. Good night, Russ.
Say goodbye to me, Peter.
I did. Bye. Bye, friend. Love you. I hate that guy. He's still here. No, my only note for the Jets this week so far is I don't need to be told twice that there's a Zach Wilson sell window. That's all I'm saying. If you are unfortunate enough to still have Zach Wilson, which there wasn't a lot of options to get out, like if there's a winning team right now, like I got Zach Wilson this week, like I would cozy on up to them and ask them if they want to chat. Flacco's just fun. Like this got no value, but if you can start him, do it just for the fun. I would say he's pretty startable this week, 15 or so.
Yeah, I mean, I would be a lot happier about Flacco this season, than I would about Zach Wilson. And if I could trade Zach Wilson based on the fact that somebody pretended like he had a good game last week, I'd do that.
Don't make them have to tell you twice. I'm just saying. Anthony, 24,105 in Superflex. You have options. Oh, he's answering. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah, I completely agree. Jacob Parker, 3 firsts for T is absolutely wild, Bob. That's why
Bob's absolutely wild, Jacob.
That's why the Russ's beard's going a little gray, because that's the kind of things we do to him. He's like, no, have to do it. Anthony, most impressive loss this week. Lost
Oh.
0-13 teams miss. That's rough. Sorry, bud.
Hadn't won since 2021. They were due. They were due, Anthony.
You gotta love those latecomers. Just came in to punch you in the mouth.
He was regressing to the mean.
Yeah, that's wrong. Oh, that's rough. But you are not alone. That's all I can say. Like it happens to all of us this time of year. Steffa, you're gonna say Steffa Vision. In 3 years, who do you see as QB1, RB1, wide receiver 1, and tight end 1? We don't know who the running back 1 is.
Yeah, the running back will be whoever it is in the rookie.
Sean Robinson or CMC is my best guess, and probably neither of them.
Yeah.
Tight end 1. And there's going to be change of it. Could be Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta would be my best guess right now. Wide receiver 1, 3 years from now, Justin Jefferson still, or Jamar Chase. It'll be 3 years was still in that window.
Yeah.
Or Marvin Harrison Jr. if he pays off the full potential that we're kind of looking at. It'll be a rookie drafted between here and there that just does what they did to start their career, so he's them but younger. Or it'll be one of those two. QB1. Still be Josh Allen Mahomes in 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
Would you say there's any changeover at QB?
No, I mean the only thing I would say is you've got a couple of really highly touted, highly drafted quarterbacks coming out this year, and CJ Stroud has been just unbelievable. And if he continues to be
Stroud's a good answer.
Yeah, like if he continues to be there at that level, I could see him kind of because Mahomes and Allen have been here for so long that in 3 years you can see them starting to descend and him still being up at that level. But
it's true.
But you're probably right.
The answer and Allen got such a wave of hype because of the way it happened and how that it helped them get there. It's hard to see that diminishing. CJ Stroud's like Justin Herbert. Like Justin Herbert's had one of the best starts to his career outside of getting that second wind of the fun of the watching. Or just the fun of the argument that happens, and they got to own the nerds with Josh Allen completely rightly, and that I do read into hype markets a little bit, so Stroud's probably more Herbert like, but you're right. If they start to descending because of fatigue, it could well happen. But I think I'll stick with those guys for now. Okay, Williams, I guess. Just fresh. In a redraft, I went 0 running back because he wanted to grab the high-end wide receivers that are true difference makers. I was able to grab Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Spears, A-Chain, and Rashad White. As the rest of the league tried to find wide receiver 1. Yeah, that's exactly it this year, man. Like Zach said, you got to not accidentally go in the opposite direction of where we know the market to be. The difference making wide receivers where it's at this year. John Bennett, I'm in the playoffs and was given a trade to give Chris Olave and a second for Garrett Wilson and a third. I prefer Wilson, and honestly the second and the third isn't a big deal for me, so I'd flip him for that. Sure. Do you think I should do the swap? It is a trade where someone wins, someone loses, but I think you both win. I think Chris Olave is going to continue to be pretty good too. Don't get me wrong. But you're placing our bet on who finishes slightly higher than the other one over the next year too. And I would take the Wilson bet. And I think that price difference between the second and the third easily pay that.
I'm not concerned about the consistency for the playoffs. Like yeah.
No. Zach knows. He does more math than he would let on.
No, not me.
Jacob Parker. What are some traits you guys look for specifically when evaluating rookie wide receivers? That's not a me question. I'm not looking for traits. I listen to film evaluation pretty closely, so I have some things I'm looking for or not looking for, mainly to help back up what I think of what their profiles look like. But traits aren't really my deal. But I do know a guy. Jacob says he tries not to focus too much on top end speed. Good idea. More on 3-cone drill. I would say ignore the combine entirely. Try and get what you know of those things from watching them. If you enjoy watching, if that's how you evaluate, how they play on the field's valuable, I think. I mean, I don't have an insight into it, but I do think it is. The combine is entirely irrelevant. I would literally say it does you more harm than good. But like I say, I do know a guy who knows a bit more about that. Zach, what do you think?
Well, I mean, we're talking different things. If Jacob's looking at the combine and number wise, that's not like I'm not looking at that anyway. The combine's fun to watch for what it is, but that's not where I do my looking at players. But for me, Jacob, to answer your specific question, I actually have 10 different things I look at when I look at wide receivers, and I'll chart games and break them down plus minus, and I'll say, I saw this plus. And then if I see it again, it's another plus. And if I see it again, it's another, or a minus. And that way I've got a good idea of what they do consistently. And then if I see it game over game, and the things I'm looking for are hands, which is pretty generic, but I'm looking for guys who get the ball, catch the ball out away from their body, and they're not double catching. So they're catching it clean. They're making that catch away from their body. So they're able to defend the defender. Like they're able to put their body between the defender and the ball and come out and go to the ball and catch it. I'm looking for their routes and their breaks specifically within the routes. So like how crisp a guy will change direction, whether or not he's running double moves, whether or not he's turning players. Some offenses are pretty simple. Sometimes you have guys that run like a option route or a choice route where they're actually making decisions at the top of the route. So that's kind of an interesting thing that I look at. Separation. So, and I think there are multiple different kinds of separation, and I've talked a little bit about this on the Dynasty Dummies podcast. And if you listen to this, we do a whole series of rookie breakdowns called the Dynasty Dummies Hootenanny. And before we get into the Hootenanny, I kind of do a show where I talk a little bit about this stuff. But I think there's separation where a wide receiver can get away from a defender to induce a throw. But there's also separation at the catch point. Sometimes that's not controlled by the wide receiver. So I'm looking a lot more at whether or not a wide receiver can separate enough so a quarterback will throw to him. And then the separation at the catch point is a lot more on the quarterback to me than it is on the wide receiver, although it is some fighting for the ball. So going up and high pointing, being able to make those type of plays, the back shoulder stuff, the deep ball. Back shoulder throws are big now in the NFL, especially where you get a guy on a sideline and they've got a defender in front of them and the quarterback will throw the ball back to the back shoulder where the receiver can turn and make a play that the defender doesn't have a play on because he'd have to go through the receiver. So that sort of thing, whether or not a guy makes plays in traffic, what they do post-catch. So, and that's probably has more to do with your 3-cone drill, the route and break and the post-catch stuff. I find kind of correlate to 3-cone because you get a lot of the guys who are like punt returners. I always go back to Jarvis Landry because he's my guy, but that type of player with the quick twitch 3-cone is going to do a lot after catch. And I think in today's NFL, yards after catch is a really great way to roll up fantasy points. Players release off the line of scrimmage, whether or not they can get off press coverage, whether they have one move, two moves, a myriad of moves. So like DK Metcalf was a guy that I watched where, and I watched multiple years of players. So I started off watching DK Metcalf early in his career, and he had one move coming off press coverage. And I'm like, okay, this is not the answer. And then by his third year, he had like 4 different, he had a swipe chop and he had a really good hesitation move. He had a really good stutter and cross. And then he just had like the straight, like bull, like go and being able to do that and learn those different release moves and be proficient at them was like a multiple like light bulb coming on. Like, okay, not only did he get better, not only does he have these release moves, but he learned multiple release moves, which means he's working on things that he's weak at on his own, which is something that I want to see because the NFL is not a developmental league. They're not teaching you. So I want to see a guy in college be able to understand what he's deficient at and continue to build on that. And if he can't make it a strength, at least make it so it's not a weakness. Then I look at blocking. I look at their ability to adjust to throws downfield, and I look at their ability to play on the sideline. So those are the 10 things. I was a little long-winded, Jacob, but those are the things that I look at when I'm watching a wide receiver. And none of them have to do with speed specifically, but a lot of
how
them
you use speed to do those things.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I actually made, and I do every offseason, like what does an ideal running back one, wide receiver one, tight end one, quarterback one, not that I do that last one, look like profile-wise, videos on YouTube. So I'll just refer to those instead of burning through more of your clock time. I would say it's kind of just volume. It's volume relative to the role, and also an interesting crossover. I also look for that development, but I look at a position or role relative volume based on how deep they are into their career, essentially through age. You have different expectations for different players based on how long they've been playing. So that development is also part of it, but it's basically just volume relative to the role that they play, and also how successful that role is in the NFL. But yeah, Grimley 1314 in 12-team PPR Superflex. For which wide receiver would you trade Tua? Tua in a Superflex? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Yeah, right.
St. Brown, maybe.
Yeah, you're probably looking at a small plus at least. But yeah, maybe. The 2000 Pats. Agree. Thanks, Bob. Is this Belichick talking? Yes, it's Belichick talking. That's his pseudonym. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. I give up. Some of you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. I would say I'm not unguilty of that sometimes. Joshua Brand, I'm going for it. Ayuka Moore would be in my lineup. Okay, well, that if you need that many starters, I can see you. I can see it to win. But you got to win then, right? If you really think it makes a difference, I don't mind trying. You got to try and win at some point. Ayuka Moore wants more with Richardson. Yeah, I would. It's hard to say it needs a plus. I'm just saying it's not kind of the right trade for me. But if it is for your team to win this week, then I could get it.
Do you need, like, he's saying both of them, I guess, would start, but like what? I don't know. To me, I still think I would package like instead of going for the two players, I would rather have the hammer. I'd rather have Tyreek Hill or whoever it is that you can go get that's the Uber producer rather than Ayuk and Moore, I think. But
I think so. But I'm not against getting out of Richardson. That's kind of why I'm giving it a small pass. But value-wise, Russ is right. You're going to be bleeding dynasty value. So if you win with it, you'll be all right. But if you don't, Competing Nico Collins or Cup? Okay.
Yeah. It's Cup.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. You could find most of the wide receivers you would rather try. They're on contenders. They're winning players. That's why they're good. So, you got to do what you got to do. And I would say, trying to win, if it doesn't work out at the end of the day, you might not be in this good of a position to win ever again. It is better to think of value more long-term winning. But if this is your league and you're not playing in a million, then honestly, try and play for a week.
Josiah, I don't mind trading Richardson. Like Peter mentioned this just kind of quickly before, but there is a lot of risk on Richardson. Like right now, Richardson's value is really high because there were a lot of people who thought that he was very good, and a lot of people who thought that Konami code, the ability to run, had the potential to push him up into the top tier of quarterbacks, like full stop. And like we had this conversation, Peter, again and again, where like if the community is pushing him up, you gotta like he's worth that, even if he's not worth that. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I wouldn't be keeping Richardson if I kept Richardson.
Yeah.
We would expect to play him. It's just not quite a good enough trade. But you've got that extra in the trade of I'm trying to win this week, dude, and that's significant to me. You know, that's actually the most significant thing. So that's why we're like, but if that's the best you can do, that's a trade that makes you win. It is always worth going in to win. You know. You got to know that's the bet you're making. I might lose a little here. I'm trying to win, and that's the way I'm playing Dynasty right now. Jacob, that's the answer I needed. Only reason brought speed and 3 cone up was really because of my league mates. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and it's fair to look at it, and lots of people find value in it. I would argue with them, but no. Just trying to hone my amateur film watching skills. More than welcome. Zach, check out the Dynasty Grind. Check out that Hootenanny because you get 3 film grinders kind of talking through it. I don't learn. I'm incapable of it, but I do enjoy listening to them. And they're all very good.
And I'll tell you, Jacob, I am at Tacit Assassin 13 on Twitter. And if you have any questions, if you're watching film and have a question or you know want to see what I'm looking like, feel free to hit me up. Like I'm there and I enjoy doing this and we do the Hootenanny live. It'll be on the Dynasty Dummies YouTube that you can probably go back and watch them, and they'll also be out on the podcast. So like and it's not just me, it's J Mike and Matt Foreman, who are also really good at watching film and kind of picking up the things that are important. And we don't always agree, which is part of the fun of it, but we do all right.
They do pretty good. They got Jefferson right. They can move on from there. Long-winded or not. Yeah.
I am always
listening to more words about fantasy is better than listening to fewer, in my personal opinion. That's about it, Zach. I think we got to the end of it.
We hit it.
Not as many questions as people fall out of the playoffs. We're just waiting for the rookie season, I guess.
I scared everyone off with the wide receivers, but look over there.